Welcome back to Is It Still Good, the channel where we watch older films and let you know if they still hold up. I am author and conservativist Joe Vallen. I write metaphysical fiction, kind of tragic comedies, fun books. I think you guys will like them. Here's an ad. Okay, hopefully you guys bought some books and we're going to get into Troy. Troy, 2004, runs 2 hours, 43 minutes, rated R, directed by Wolfgang Peterson, stars Sean Beaner, Eric Bananer, The Bloomin' Onion, and Bradley Pitts. So this is adapted, of course, from Homer's Iliad, the famous poem, one of my favorite books of all time, my favorite being the Odyssey, actually, the book to come after, Odysseus' journey. Okay, I have a lot of notes, so I'm just going to fly through them, and we're going to see where this one winds up. It may be a longer video, so buckle in, because I have a lot of thoughts on it. This film has become a bit of a guilty pleasure watch for me over the years. I remember when it came out, and I saw it, and I was underwhelmed, as I believe the whole country was. My country, America. Nobody was really talking about Troy. Nobody really cared about Troy. It was this big epic movie. It was like 3 hours long. It had Bradley Pitts and a bunch of other people. Everybody was very, very excited about that. And then we all saw it and was like, okay. But over the years, I've watched this movie a trillion times, and I don't know why. I think it's because I love the Iliad and Greek mythology so much. Even though this movie, spoilers, of course, does not show any interactions with the gods, which is an interesting choice. Because in the Iliad and Odyssey, the gods play such a huge factor in almost every single thing that happens. So it's actually pretty cool to see just the human take on it. I do appreciate that about this movie, that kind of look, because anytime any film tries to feature gods, it always looks corny. It always looks dumb. We'd rather imagine gods than see them, I think. On screen, it always looks corny, to me. But, I don't know, I thought that was an interesting choice. One thing I noticed upon this last watch was that the extras in this movie suck so bad. I don't know how to describe them. They're just like not there. Watch the extras for any length of time in this film, and you'll see just what I mean. They're so generic. They're not acting well. And I can't tell if that was like a style choice to make the stars of the film really pop because there's so many bodies on screen at any given time. It would make sense. So I'm not totally complaining about that. It's just something I really noticed. You let me know what you think. Maybe it's a style choice. It would make sense. All right, great tension throughout this movie. That's true. This movie is good at creating tension, in part due to a solid soundtrack and pretty okay acting. It's really confusing because you have a weird cast in this movie. It's kind of like Bram Stoker's Dracula in the way that you have these seasoned, really amazing actors sharing the screen with wretched, awful acting, and then you got people that are somewhere in between, like Bradley Pitts, Eric Bananer. They're somewhere in between. They're pretty good. Sean Bean, it's pretty good. Then you got guys like Brian Cox playing Agamemnon, Brendan Gleeson playing Menelaus, and then Peter O'Toole murdering as Priam. And I don't know if that's his final role, but he was like super ancient in this movie. As a matter of fact, a lot of the movie he just spends time making the old man crazy face. So, because I feel really bad for, if you know the story, Priam gets it the worst. he gets it worse than anybody in this story, in my opinion. Poor Priam, And Peter O'Toole really brings all that pain to life. So you got good actors, you got meh actors, then you got kind of really bad actors, like these kind of big guys, like Tyler Mane plays Ajax. And I love Ajax in the story, and he's cool in the movie too, but he's just very cartoonish. Rah, I gotta kill everything. Nathan Jones opens the movie in an amazing scene with Bradley Pitts. Yeah, he's like Boagrius, is that his name? I don't know, but I mean, he's massive, so huge. Such a cool scene, but it's a weird movie in the sense that you're going to see a lot of really great acting next to a lot of really bad acting. Then you got guys like, I think his character's name is Glaucus, James Cosmo, the guy that was in Braveheart. He's still got a Scottish accent in this. You didn't even bother to try, man. You didn't want to try. Okay, USA, whatever. So I guess there were Scots fighting in this war, no problem. The real war at Troy lasted 10 years. And it would have been cool to see this adapted as a streaming show, but this was kind of before the streaming shows really took off. I think at this time it was like Sopranos and something else, but there weren't a lot of streaming shows in '04, to my recollection. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, Troy was a movie. Should have been a show. I think this would have been great over like 4 or 5, 6 seasons, even, of a 10-year war, and then even following Odysseus on the way back as like a spin-off. I don't know, missed opportunity, Hollywood. Whoever has the rights to the Iliad or can make things out of the Iliad, please make a show. I would watch that and just try not to butcher it. Just keep it true to the writing the best you can, you know, and you'll do okay. Stop dabbling in alchemy you don't understand, Hollywood. You're screwing it up. I mean, movies are supposed to last the test of time. That's what this channel's about, you know? And if you're making schlock year after year after year over the course of decades, it's gonna add up, and we're all starting to notice, and that's why my silly little channel dedicated to old films is slowly growing. Thank you very much for subscribing. Check out our Patreon. Quick ad. Boop. I'm gonna start featuring patrons' names. I'm gonna give you guys shout outs in each video moving forward once we get enough. So check it out right now. New rewards to follow. Back to Troy. One of the best quotes in the movie is from Achilles, who says, "I chose nothing. This is how I was born, and this is what I am." I really like that. As a grown man, I've always sort of tried to model myself in some way on Odysseus as an archetype, keeping up with the physical, keeping up with the mental, staying sharp, being relevant, being useful, being a good leader, learning when to fall back, learning when to take charge. And I think Odysseus exemplifies that in almost everything he does throughout the Iliad, but I just love the way Odysseus has the ability to dig himself out of trouble, you know, sometimes that he creates himself, but he's one of my favorite characters in all of fiction. I believe he's the archetype for like Batman even. You know what I mean? Odysseus was the original Batman, in my opinion. Which brings me to another point. Odysseus, played by Sean Beaner. He's okay. I love the Beaners. And I'm really happy he doesn't die in this. He doesn't die in this and Silent Hill. It was pointed out to me. But I don't picture Sean Beaner as Odysseus. I guess he could be. I mean, he has a few clever lines in this movie. I don't know why the Braveheart guy still has his Scottish accent, but that really bothers me. Achilles apparently sleeps with his beehole out. I wrote here, he's always naked. Eric Bananas had to get his chest waxed all the time because he's got a hairy chest and they wouldn't allow it. So, poor Bananas. It's really good for those with like an armor fetish. There's some great armor in this. There's all these scenes, like one of the scenes where Hector's getting ready to fight Achilles. I mean, they're just sitting there putting their armor on all slow and stuff, and I'm starting to feel funny about it. Oh, poor Priam has such a rough time. He's so sad throughout this movie. What a great actor, Peter O'Toole. And the Achilles Hector fight is just worth the wait. It's so good. I love the lead up to it where Achilles is just screaming for Hector outside the walls. It's exactly as I imagined it. And all jokes aside, Bradley Pitts does a phenomenal job as Achilles. It's kind of as I pictured him. He had to work out for 6 months to look like what he thought would be believable, and I'm so glad he did. He looks very believable. I love the way he moves. In that fight with Bananas, man, he crushes. They're both great, but you can tell that right from the beginning, it's very easy to see, even if you don't know anything about fighting, Hector is overmatched right from the beginning. And it's so apparent, and I love that. You know, it's just shot very, you know, maybe that's why the extras suck. You know, that same kind of thing, creating contrast for those of us that are a little slow on the uptake, like me. I don't know. But every girl that Achilles bangs throughout this movie is just in a coma. There's 2 chicks in the beginning that will not wake up for the life of them. And that chick from Get Him to the Greek, whatever her name is. Oh, I forget it now. Let me look it up. Oh, Rose Byrne plays Bristles? I don't even know that character's name, the priestess of Apollo. And she gets instant Stockholm Syndrome. When she gets the first glimpse of his dick root, she kind of forgets everything else and falls in love. Which is okay. It is Bradley Pitt, so you'd have to figure a half-god would have an effect on us puny mortals. I don't know. I love the Iliad so much. It's just such a good book. My high recommendation is that you go back and read it. It's a beautiful poem. Really fun thing to read. Sometimes out loud even. But the Troy film, 2004, Wolfgang Peterson, I don't know. Peter O'Toole bragged about walking out of the film 5 minutes in. He said he hated it. And he didn't like Wolfgang Peterson either, according to what I just read. I could see that. I mean, it looks like a really bad movie at first, but if you come back to revisit it over and over, it's got some stuff to watch. I mean, there's definitely some cool moments and parts in it. The sets are blocky but serviceable. You know, I really loved Bananas as Hector and Peter O'Toole as Priam. I just think they're great. The Bloomin' Onion sucks in the beginning, but he kind of picks it up towards the end. I mean, his character has an arc, of course, being Paris. If you know anything about Paris, he has a major arc. I'm reading a whole book on Paris right now. He's a lot more interesting than the film portrayed him. That being said, Bloom did kick it up a notch or two. You can tell when Hector starts to lose in his battle against Achilles, where the Bloom and Onion really starts to act. And it's nice. It's nice. I mean, he's not an awful actor. It's just, I can't stand him, and he's got a really punchable face. So yeah, Orlando Bloom really bloomed in this one. This story is further evidence that romance is stupid. It is. And I don't think this war should have happened. It's kind of silly. Even Priam says, I fought wars over almost every reason. Maybe love makes the most sense. Yeah, it sounds good and all, but that's not a good reason. The Iliad is such a beautifully written story. It's really hard to mess up. And even this, they really bastardized it a lot. And it's still very watchable and still very kind of tragic and cool. And I think they did Odysseus dirty by making him Sean Bean in the casting. But he does live for once, which is nice, and he is good in it. He's serviceable. He's a good actor. A lot of the music is from Willow, by the way. You may notice it. Even towards the end, I even hear General Kale saying, and now you die. Only in Troy, he goes, and now you. And that's it in the background. But it's the same song. They just kind of muted some of the high points. A lot of Willow music in this you may recognize, which is part of the nostalgia and the kind of, Pavlovian reaction out of guys like me that just kind of keep watching Troy for some reason. But I like how this movie doesn't show the gods, which is good. Achilles looking great, but a lot of the extras he fights are chumps. Yes, he moves amazing. Bradley Pitts moves amazingly in this. He looks great. I like a lot of the action. Some of it's a little silly and unnecessary. The things like spinning the shield all the time, and I'd like to see the other side of that shield and see what his hands are doing. Because it's probably not what you think. But other than that, I mean, he looked great. It's just all the extras he fights are such chumps. It's my one big complaint about this movie, too, is that, guys just make like this lunging dumb move and then they like freeze and he does like some wicked combo on them. It's like, all right. You could have given the bad guys a little more agency over their own movements, too, I think. And it really does remind me of Bram Stoker's Dracula, like I said. Great acting against shitty acting. That's it, guys. That's where I'm going to leave it. Let's give it a number score. We talked for a long time, longer video. 7 out of 10. I think that's fair and even a little high. I mean, you guys might give this a 6 or a 6.5 out of 10 if you're being objective. I am jaded due to my love of Greek mythology, even though they didn't show any gods in this. I just love the whole war at Troy. It's so cool. There's so many great heroes in that and great lines and great moments, and I do think there's things to pick apart from this movie upon rewatching over and over again. This last time I watched it, I was a bit disenchanted. I didn't like it as much. I have a hankering to read the Iliad now, more than just watch Troy again. So, is it worth a watch? Sure it's worth a watch. Is it great? No, it's not a great movie. It's a good movie, and, there's some good acting in it. There's some great acting in it, actually. Peter O'Toole, crushing. But you could skip it if you really wanted to. Let me know what you think of Troy below. Check out our Patreon, guys. This was a long video. I hope you enjoyed it. Little extra editing, but totally worth it. And there's so many movies I really want to get into. I got to do a big thing for Seven Samurai. I got to do a big thing for The Crow. I got to get with Poltergeist pretty soon. We were talking about watching Krull. Krull would be great. Maybe a double feature, maybe some versus battles. Leave your suggestions in the comments below, and I will take them to heart. Subscribe Starians get videos early now, and top say in the films that get shown in the future. Please consider helping us out over on Patreon, and I will see you guys next week on Is It Still Good?